So what's going to happen now is I'm going to find homes for all these tomatoes. I'm going to keep some, probably 50, 60 plants. I'll donate over 50 to the food bank. I'll probably usually sell about, I don't know, 70 plants, and then I give away to family and friends the rest. There's probably about 300 or so plants. There's an ant on me. I'm not sure. I haven't done my final tally, but by the end of this video, I will do that for you guys. I've been gone for 5 days, and I just came home last night, and I'm getting my first really good look at my seedlings, who have been watered only once and kept in this little greenhouse while I was gone in case they needed to get zipped up at night to keep warm. So I'm getting my coffee, and then I'm gonna get all of these guys out, and we're gonna take a look and see how they're doing. I'm worried about the ones way in the back. They've not really had a lot of good light. I can definitely tell the ones in the front have grown quite a bit. So let's get them out and have a closer look and see what they look like for week 6. So literally it was 5 days ago at this time of day that I stuck them into the greenhouse so I could go away on a little trip with my youngest daughter for her spring break. And I'm really surprised at how well they handled being stuck in that greenhouse all of those days, and also that they have grown. Now some of them are orienting towards where the light was in the greenhouse. You can see they're a little bit wonky. They will straighten up, but overall I'm pleased. Their cups are not super dry. My older daughter did water once, and I think we did get a rainstorm once. So I think overall they survived, which is wonderful. Now they all are covered in this horrible yellow pollen that is covering every single surface. I'll show you an example. That's not a very good example, but it's thick yellow grossness. Here's a little bit better example. Unfortunately, I came home just in time for the yellow pollen. Today's going to be 86, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray these guys off with a gentle mist, get all the yellow pollen off. They'll get a little water dripping down into their cups. And then, unfortunately, I had to leave to go on that trip before I finished potting up these guys over here. So I'm not completely done. Looks like I may have potted up some, but I definitely left off right here. I need to get these guys into their little solo cups so they can be taken away to their new homes soon. If I didn't say the date already, it's April the 5th, and I'm going to go ahead and conclude the winter sowing versus indoor sowing of nightshade experiment. You can see I've got 3 of the early girl, and this is technically 1 that has germinated. We'll just say 3 of the peppers. So I planted 10 seeds in each side, 10 peppers, 10 tomato seeds. 3 out of 10 only germinated. That's 30% germination. So that's pretty low, versus my indoor germination rate for both varieties of seeds was around 90 to 100%. So that concludes the experiment on that, and I will just indoor sow early my nightshades from now on, and not fool with any winter sowing. The humidity is 80, no it's not, it's 65, but it feels like it's 80. There's not much difference once you get probably past 50-ish, maybe 60, but you can see they got sprayed off. I think they're going to bounce back and look really nice, and I'm excited for this season. There is one problem coming up with these plants. They're fully hardened off night and day, ready for planting in the ground. I have one night coming up, it's going to be 29 or 30 degrees. So I have a massive job to get all kinds of plants, all of these seedlings, into the garage for just that one night. And that is the danger of planting too early. You don't want to plant too early. That's my biggest advice. It's so tempting. And yes, I put a few little things in my green stalks. I'm going to cover them and protect them, but I could lose them. I think they enjoyed their shower. They're bent over a little. They're a little floppy. They will definitely straighten up over the next few days. So today is Saturday. They've got all day today out, all day Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday afternoon, they will go into the garage just for one night. And then we can think about where are we going to plant our plants, and who's going to get all of these plants. I have to figure that out yet. One more thing regarding plants. I am starting to find volunteers. So these are either Mountain Princess or Silvery Fir. I'm not sure which. From last year. I will pot them up. I'm not quite sure if I want to keep those plants right here, but I definitely am not going to waste those free plants. I mean, they're really hardy, right? They survive winter as a seed, and they've been growing really well on their own without any intervention from me at all. It's the next morning, and they are standing up nice and straight. They look really good. They are dusted in pollen. They're going to get a little bit of rain at 11 o'clock. Nice, gentle rain. And then we've got about 36 hours of hard rain, so they will go into the little greenhouse at that point, just to protect them just a little bit, because that might be too much rain. Look at how everything is coated in this green dusting. So chamomile, got to get this dill planted too before the rain starts. They did not all fit. Have one tray of peppers. Maybe I'm going to squeeze them down in there and just take them out of the tray. I've had to do that with some other plants. As you can see, there's a lot of plants in a tiny space. So in a couple days, I may have to add this, some little tiny sticks to some of these plants that are starting to get kind of tall. I don't want them to get bent or broken before they arrive in their planting spots or new homes, wherever they're going. All right, it is Monday the 7th. We have got to get this zipped up. It'll be 41 degrees overnight. I should have zipped it maybe an hour or two ago. It's already starting to feel cool. And then tomorrow afternoon, I've got an alarm on my phone to go off tomorrow about 3:30 or 4. Everything frost sensitive, frost tender will get put into my garage. And it's not just these guys, it's a lot of plants. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Wish me luck. It is April the 8th. It is around 12-ish. It's finally gotten up around 50 degrees. So I am going to go ahead and let these poor guys get some fresh air. I'm going to unzip this whole thing here. And then around, I'd say by 3:30, 4 or 5 p.m. tonight, I'm going to get everyone moved into the garage. We were getting pretty toasty in here. I could have done this earlier, but I had to go to a doctor's appointment with one of my big kids. And so it was too early to unzip them this morning, and now right at noon it's a little warm for them. Well, these guys aren't as warm up down here. Definitely feel the heat up here. Alright, so they're good. They can just chill. I'll start moving them into the garage at 4, and then I may do a count so I can go ahead and get that final tally of what I have, or not. We'll see. We'll see how the day goes. Alright, it is time to get those plants into the garage. I have not started garden tours yet for this year. I need to, but I wanted to show a few of these flowers before they fade away, because they are definitely springtime, early springtime flowers. We've got beautiful woodland phlox and forget-me-nots in 3 different colors, sprouting everywhere. They are just gorgeous. Here's a big patch of them. All self-seeded. Probably planted some maybe 3-4 years ago, and they just keep coming back, which is incredible for me. This rose is starting to flush out really pretty too. All right, let's get these guys moved. The smell while carrying these guys is incredibly intoxicating. They smell like a summer tomato. It's just wonderful, wonderful smell. It is April the 9th, and I have a garage full of tomato plants and other various plants. I've even got overwintering peppers over there, and some things I actually bought at the nursery. I've got so many plants in my garage. So it's going to be cold again tonight, but not freezing. Last night it was 29, 30 degrees. Tonight it's going to be 40. I'm going to be lazy. I know it sounds so horrible on my part, but I'm just going to leave these guys right here. They're not going outside today. I have to leave in less than an hour anyway, and I don't feel right leaving these guys outside in my driveway. And I don't want to walk them to the back because guess what? They're coming back in. It just seems like a lot of work. So they're just going to stay tight. Early tomorrow morning, I will get up. I will get them outside, get them watered. We will probably need to fertilize. But there is something we can do right now in the hour I have before I have to leave. And let's go get that done because that's an important step too for these guys. So they are officially 6 weeks old today. Yeah, happy birthday, guys. Sorry, you're going to stay in the garage all day. But it's for their benefit, right? Okay, so let's go work on the big project we need to do now to get them to their homes for the summer garden. And so what that is I need to make a list. So I have people already asking about their tomato and pepper plants. You can see my messy handwriting here. I've been trying to keep a tally all along. We're going to update that tally tomorrow morning when every tray will come out of the garage. I'll just line them up on my driveway. I'll get my water hose out. I'll water. Take every plant out of the container, out of the tray. Give it an assessment. At this point, you need to be looking for aphids, any other kind of bug. You would be surprised at how many eggs from bad bugs I find on the underside of my leaves in like week 6, 7, and 8. So that is something you definitely need to be doing now. We'll do that tomorrow morning. We will water, and I think it's time to fertilize again tomorrow as well. But we're going to finalize our tally. But before we get to that part where we're putting down the numbers, we need to write up a description. So I kind of started with notes when I was planting the seeds. So I've got some basic notes going here. This will be basic synopsis for the description. And what I'm going to do is just make a document that I can send through email that will have the variety of the tomato or pepper or whatever plant I have available. If it's an indeterminate, determinate, the color of the fruit, about the size of the fruit, any characteristics like the taste, if it's smoky, you know, traditional tomato taste, that kind of thing. So I'll show you an example once I get this all together. Before I make the email write up like a document that I can send to people, well, either print and or send to people. I'm kind of just marking off some of the tallies I have taken over the last several weeks, making kind of like a master list over here and dividing everything up by, is it a determinate, is it indeterminate, and just especially for the tomatoes, people want to know how big is that plant going to get. Some people just want a tomato for a container, so they kind of do need to know that. I like to know that for myself as far as placement and where I'm going to plant something. And so I'm just going to do this. It's going to be very boring, especially for me, not for you guys, because you won't have to watch all this. I'll come back at the end and kind of give you an idea of where we're at. And I will finalize the counts tomorrow. The counts you see here are from, I would say, a week and a half ago during the last potting up process. Some of these numbers could have changed slightly. Like with the Whitmore, I know that just 2 days ago, I had one that was flopped over in its cup. I don't know if it was a disease issue. I did throw out that soil in that one cup. It could have just been disturbance during potting up with the root system, and it just didn't handle that too well. So I threw that one out, and so I'm down one. So I'm just taking some notes. And so also with the one above it, the Blushing Star, I had very, very low germination. I'd say 30-40% germination on those seeds, which were brand new. I just bought those. So I'm putting a few little notes in here and there that will go into my note keeping, not necessarily for the people who are wanting to have some plants. They don't really need to know that, you know, one of them died. It is the morning of freedom for these guys. So I'm thinking I'm going to do my counting on the back deck so that Tonto can sit out there with me because, you know, he's got issues. He is very upset right now that I have put him into the house and I'm in the garage and he can't come in here. So It'd probably take me 20 plus minutes to transport all of these plants. And then we will do our tallies. I'll check on everyone. I'll water everyone. You can see they still have pollen coating the leaves. I did have one casualty last night. One of the bags over there in the corner fell on a plant and broke the stem. So I've got that stem in water. It will grow roots. So I really am just losing time with that. Maybe I'll show you that later too. Okay, let's just get busy. And you can see I've got so many things to get planted. I'm looking at the 10-day forecast and I'm like, it looks good. Just one night, it might get to 38. And that's like in 5, 6, 7 days. So it would be a chance to take. I have planted peppers way too early before and they have stunted. So really have to be more cautious than what I want to do. I want to just put everyone in the ground right now. All right, just so 1,000 or 2,000 steps later, got everyone out here. They are very, very dry. So I think first thing, I'm going to spray them off to hopefully get some of that greenish yellow pollen off, get them watered. Here is the little guy that accidentally got broken. So I will just keep him in water in a shady spot for, 5, 7 days. We will start to see some roots, fine little white roots growing on him. Just have to remember that is the Roma, the Italian Roma. All right, time to get busy. They do look a little rough after that shower. But you got to think, they got to get used to the rain. They got to get used to elements, and they'll be fine. They will bounce right back. So tonight's 48. I am going to let them all stay here on the deck tonight. Tomorrow, though, I just checked the weather. 43 2 nights in a row. So what I'm thinking, I really hate to do it, is try to squeeze all these guys back into the greenhouse again for 2 nights. Leave the flap open during the day because the high is only 55 those 2 days. And so they shouldn't get too hot in the greenhouse with it open during the day. And then, I just got to be careful with the weather because there is that one night coming up. And I think it's going to be 38, but who knows? In a couple days that could change to 35, 33. So, yeah, we might have to end up doing the garage one more night or 2 by the end of the week. So what I'm doing now, taking the plants out of the tray, spraying the pollen out of the tray, looking for bugs, slugs, ants, so forth that like to hide in the trays. That's a common thing. Earwigs. Doing a quick assessment, looking under leaves of each plant as I put it back into the tray. And then once we get them into the tray, we will count at the very end. I'm going to try to organize all the plants by their variety, if possible. And I think I have enough trays to do that today. Now, you can see they're starting to get that yellow tone. They're hungry. They're getting hungry. So I am going to give them liquid fertilizer, probably at half strength. And I was debating on adding some slow release granular fertilizer and then topping, oh, there's an ant crawling up my leg, crawling, a little bit of slow release fertilizer and then topping with maybe a couple inches of potting mix. I don't think I have enough potting mix today to do that because I lent some to the neighbor's kids. So yeah, I think we'll hold off on that. We're just going to do the liquid feed, but definitely check under your leaves. And under the leaves, that is where the bugs like to lay their eggs because they're protected, they're hidden. It'd be nice if they could just put them on top of the leaves, but they don't. They always hide them underneath. Okay, I did not see any bugs or eggs on the plants and or in the tray. So I counted them. The count is the same as what I have from potting up about a week and a half or so ago. So now what I'm going to do, I've got a gallon of water. I'm going to mix up the fertilizer and I think I'm going to do the early growth instead of seedling stage. So that'll be, I'll just go, it says 1 teaspoon. So I'll go just shy of a teaspoon in a full gallon of water. I will pour about 1.5, 2 inches of the fertilizer water into the tray. I'll set a timer. I'll start working on some of these other guys and let that tray there sit for, say, 15, 20 minutes. Most of that water should be absorbed in that time. Whatever's left over, I'll just pour onto some of my mini plants out in the yard and in pots, they will love it. And so that is the game plan. It's going to be a long assembly line. Thankfully, it's a really nice day, partly sunny, which is kind of great after these guys spent the whole day in the garage yesterday, not to have full sun today, because that would have been a little bit of a shock to them, just a little. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll be back with the total counts, and anything else I find along the way, I will stop and record, especially if I find some of those bug eggs. Just a quick note here for anyone who's just popping in to watch this video and you've not watched the prior weeks of development for these seedlings. They're fully hardened off. That happened weeks ago. Maybe go back to week 2, 3, 4 and you can get some information on that. But they are fully hardened off, and that is why they're just out in the sun whenever I want to put them out in the sun. But so look guys, I've got storms coming, heavy rain, nonstop for like 36 plus hours. I made the decision I'm going to put these guys into the garage. It feels cool. This is like at 5 p.m. right now, and it just feels cool and damp. I don't want to leave these plants out to get any type of fungus started. Plus, I just put all that fertilizer in. I don't want to wash it away. Yeah, so they're going into the garage for tonight, and they probably are going to have to go in the next night as well, which this is what it's like in week 6, and yeah, it's a pain. It's the next morning. It is going to be dreary and rainy the entire day. It rained all night. I did put the plants in the garage. I'm glad I did. And so, yeah, it's just going to be a rough day. Honestly, I'm thinking since it's so dreary out and it's just nothing but rain, I may just let those guys sit in the garage another day. I hate that so much because they really do need the sun, but there is no sun. And bring them out first thing tomorrow morning. It is going to be around 40-ish tonight. So I would have been bringing them into the garage anyway. I think I might do that, guys. I really hate it. It really is hard on the plant to go a full, you know, possibly up to 24 hours without sun or light. I've already done that once this week. I hate to do it a second time, but the weather is just not cooperating. If I had a synopsis for week 6, it is that the weather does not cooperate with me. And this has been a theme all along. Every year that I'm doing seed starting, I have this 1 week right towards the end, right towards the finish, where I have to deal with the weather. And yeah, I should just anticipate it and plan and do a better job. But I'm doing the best I can, and I think they'll be fine. Well, you'll come back, right? You'll come back for week 7. I'm hoping by week 8, all of my plants are gone, is my hope. So last night I did do the tally. I went through, and you can see I've got the numbers here on the far right that are not in parentheses. Those are the counts from yesterday for each plant. And so for indeterminates, I've got a section of big slicers, and then I've got some more salad or small to medium size plant fruits. They're fruits. And then I've got all of the cherry or grape sized tomatoes that I grew. I ended up with 5 for some reason because I wanted to do a taste test with all of these sun gold like fruits. And I do have a friend growing sun gold, so I will be able to taste test sun drop, honeycomb, sun sugar, and sun gold. And then I've got the semi-determinate, which is the foxfire pink. Those are gonna actually be like a decorative statement with my rose that I have in my front walkway. And then I've got some determinates, some are dwarfs. I think Tennessee Suited and the Purple Heart are both dwarfs. And then I've got Jamestown and the Italian Roma that's a paste. That is actually more just a true determinate. And then my micro dwarf, I only had 5 of those. Those are actually already in my green stalks and or planted with some of my container roses out here on the back deck. I did cover those when we were cold and freezing the other night. And so for eggplants, I only grew enough for myself. I may give, 2 or 3 away if someone requests. Nobody ever wants eggplants though. And so for our counts, I'm only counting basil, the eggplants, the peppers, and the tomatoes. I'm not counting flowers or any miscellaneous things I tried to grow. I do have a bunch of seedlings that I'm kind of dealing with in those categories as well. But for today's count, I'm just going to be talking about basil, eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. So for the basils, I only grew 4 of the lettuce leaf basil because that's just one that I really like for summer eating. And so I grew this new variety this year called Everleaf, and that's what the EL there is. I did the lemon and the sweet. The lemon did horrible. I may start another round here soon outdoors, but I ended up with 1 or 2, and I'm not sure if the one I still have is going to make it, to be honest. Now the Everleaf sweet basils have done better. I do have quite a few of those, and those will be the only ones I offer like to anyone in a plant sale. So I did lose a few though, but they did much better than the lemon variety of Everleaf. And then the purple ruffle, that's just more of a decorative basil. So I counted the basils, the eggplants. We had a lot of peppers. Thank goodness I did grow some peppers this year because some of my overwintering peppers are not going to make it. I've already lost a few. I think maybe 3 or 4 more probably are not going to end up recovering. And I'm just grateful that I did grow I consider this a large selection of peppers for this year. So for tomatoes, I had 279 tomato plants as of yesterday. And then for the total of the basils, eggplants, and peppers, 124. So that is a grand total of 403 plants, which seems like a lot. It is a lot. Like, why do I do this? Every year I tell myself I'm going to do better. I'm going to grow less. And I end up having way too many plants to deal with. And so I've got like 21 varieties of tomatoes. I don't know where I'm going to put them here on this property. Now, the determinant Italian Roma, that's paste tomato. I will be growing those at my friend Ivy's house. So those will not have to be placed here. But all of the other 20 varieties, I'm going to have to find a place for here because I really want to try them and I really want to grow them. And I love tomatoes in the summer. So as I type up this list that I'm going to send to people who want to purchase, and then for family and friends who I would be giving plants away to for free, obviously, I am only going to write up about the ones. I think what I'll do is I get a highlighter. I'm going to highlight, like, let's say Whitmore. I've got 20 plants of that one. The Prudence Purple, I've got over 20. And like the Mater and the Kellogg's Breakfast, those are both right at 20. So I have a lot of those. So those will be good for the list to give out to people. The ones where I only have like 3 plants, I'm not going to put those on the list. And then, yeah, like the Eva Purple, I have a lot of those. Well, I've got 13 early girls. I might put those on the list too. But the Zebra Apricot, I'll probably just, hand a couple of those off when I'm, delivering or passing along plants to friends and family. It's like, hey, why don't you try this one too? But I'm not going to take the time to put it on the big master list. Honey Drop, I had a lot of those that can go on the list. Maybe Sun Sugar might, because I've got like 10. Maybe the Berry's Crazy. I ended up with so many of those because of overseeding, because it took so long for those to germinate. Foxfire Pink, I can put that on the list because we have a lot of those. I'm keeping all of the Romas. I'll put the Dwarf Purple on there. That would be good for people too that have a container garden or a small space, because those are dwarfs. And of course the eggplants, like I said, I'm keeping those unless someone asks me for an eggplant. So that's my plan. I'm glad you were here. It was a frustrating week. It's actually going to be a frustrating next 3 to 4 days going into week 7. I'm going to have to still do the same back and forth with the weather and trying to keep these plants in an ideal temperature. Honestly, below 50 is pushing it to be unprotected, and I'm glad I didn't take the chance to leave them out last night in that 48 degree weather with cold rain coming down on them all night long, especially since I had just fertilized. I didn't want to wash all that away. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Hope you're having a great, wonderful gardening week. Where are you? Are you close to planting out time? Are you a rebel? You're going to just put them out there even though you might get a frost? Let me know. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.